What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Real quick before we start this podcast, today I sat down with Levi Mathieu. He's a 20-year-old kid absolutely killing it in the SMMA space, making over $50,000 a month. I know what it sounds like. It sounds like a scam and all of that, but that's what the entire episode was about, really breaking down his business model and getting to know his ins and outs a little bit better. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's start this podcast.
And we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Posh Night Club. It's our first online podcast, and today we're joined with Levi Mathieu, a 20-year-old who's making an insane amount of money through his digital ad agency. Ladies and gentlemen, Levi Mathieu.
Yeah, it's good to be here, guys. We'll share some sauce with you guys and see how it goes.
Perfect. You know the first question, Levi, what are you passionate about?
Yeah. I am passionate about just continuously becoming a better person. Like a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we think we're passionate about making more money or buying a stupid cool thing, whether it's a watch or a car. And then after making the amount that I thought I wanted to make, I realized I wasn't at all passionate about that. It was more so just becoming the better person who can just really put my mind to something and do it and help my family and do everything like that. So that's what I'm passionate about.
That's amazing. Before you tell me more about how you where you are now, I want to kind of dive back. I really hear about your story from like 0 to 10K. I want to know about how you were as a human or a person back then and what happened and to get you that 10K amount and things like that. So let's hear it. Tell me why you started. Tell me all about that.
Cool. Yeah. Um, I guess from starting to now, it's been a pretty big change. Really just in how I was acting. When I like initially started, it was more so like I didn't want to go the college route that most people end up going. Nothing against it. It's just I always like wanted to kind of do my own thing, and college didn't really allow for that. So I started the agency thing when I turned 18, and it was like my first semester of school, and it was just a lot of cold calling, and I thought I was working really hard at the time, but looking back on it, I was on Instagram a lot. I was on YouTube a lot. We all were. But I did my $100, $200 a day, and it was cool. And then from that to now being where I go to bed at like the same time every day, I have my next day planned out, and I'm actually able to consistently work throughout the whole day at higher leverage work and accomplish so much in less time and work more. That's kind of like the biggest differences, I guess, in me work-wise, but then confidence-wise is like a whole other thing. Like when a lot of us are starting, or at least for me, I didn't really have too much else. Like I was like decent in school, decent in sports, but I was never like that's my shit, you know? And some people have that in whatever else. But after like making a business like out of nothing,
Yeah.
that I just thought of and like saw some Iman videos. I mean, you probably have the same thing with the podcast too. It's like, damn, like I just thought of this shit and now like it's here. And like there's just like so much confidence that comes from that.
And so tell me, were you in a college and then you dropped out of that, or did you not go into it at all, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so I started the agency. Like my first ever video was me, like after as I had just started. I'd been doing it for like a month. I hadn't gone to school yet. By the time I'd been doing it for 2 months, I was in like my first semester of freshman year. I mean,
And then,
in the university. I went to CSU Long Beach in California,
oh, cool.
and I was there for a year actually.
What were you
During
studying?
that time, I was staying like in the
You're
dorm
studying
suite
space.
kinda. Oh, studying. I was studying. I don't even remember. I think it was like finance or something. But that like when you're a freshman, it's just like you're there to get the base classes out of the way. And then honestly, I spent most of my time just like trying to get the college experience because I knew for a fact I was not going to go for more than 1 year. So I tried to enjoy a little bit of college stuff, um, but still like lock in as much as I could.
Okay, cool. And then said you were watching Iman and everything, you were watching those videos, and that inspired you to take action. And when you did that, was it like, say if I was like in person just starting my agency today, what would you tell them to get from 0 to 10K then? And how did you do it? What are some things you wish you knew? Things like that.
Yeah. Okay. So I saw the Elon videos. I was like, damn, he's up.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be up. So I started looking around, and the crazy thing about YouTube is like there's a lot of good information, but there's like too much. And everyone's trying to tell you to do it like their own separate way. And the thing that I've seen help the most people is to choose anyone's way, whatever any of the big like YouTube people are preaching, and just fully go all in on one thing for like 8 months. And it sounds like a long time when you're just starting because you want to get success like really, really fast. But if you can go all in on one thing, your actions can compound more and you'll actually see the success instead of just like trying something, quitting, and you don't actually make the improvement. So that's what I would say there. But within that one thing, people overcomplicate the agency space like a lot, honestly. And I don't know why it took me so long to realize this, but after I did, that's like the time that I made money. It's only really like 3 different pieces. So the first one is like outreach or like getting appointments. So it's like getting in front of your ideal person. Before that, yeah, you need like a niche and people to like reach out to, but just like look up people on Google and cold call them. So that's like the first part is outreach. Second part is sales. And the third part is like running the ads, the fulfillment, that part. When we're starting out, we're so focused on, or at least I was like, I don't know shit about running ads. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. That's what I spent a lot of time on. But I also didn't know how to sell and I didn't have anyone to talk to. So there's no way I'm going to have anyone to run ads for. So for beginners, what I would say is like put all of your effort into, even before you know how to do your service, outreaching to your clients and just offering free trials to as many people as possible, because you'll get more appointments from that. You'll get better at sales because you'll actually have reps, and even free trials are super scary at first. I was terrified the first time I was on a Zoom, same as basically everyone else ever. But it gets easier. You get more confident in your service and you start to make some money. You can put that money into getting more appointments. Then you close more people. You put money into sales training. You get better at sales. You close more of those appointments. You get more clients. And then it's just like a big revolving circle of money. And that's kind of how I got from 0 to 10 and then from 10 to anywhere else.
So when you said like the whole outreach aspect of it and then the free trials, what did that look like? Were you like, I'll run your ads free for a month, or was it like a couple weeks, or what did you say?
Yeah. So for me, I was honestly just like going crazy on cold calls. And I didn't get anything from it. Like honestly, like I was doing like probably 100, 200 calls a day for like a few months on like weekends and breaks. I would do 300-400 a day. Some days I'd do like 500 cold calls. Like I'd wake up at 6 and I'd call until like 7.
Were you calling
p.m.
people who were awake at 6, or were you calling people
So
who...
I was on the West Coast at this time. So the 6 a.m. Pacific time is 9 a.m. Eastern time. So you can call people in New York that are already awake, call people in Miami that are already awake,
Okay.
and you can just do that the whole day.
So you really went for these average lot. You didn't care where you were, really. You just dialed out. Just dialed out.
The whole US in my niche, and just
And what was your niche starting out? Was it the home improvement?
I I I went through a bunch of niches because I thought like, oh, if a niche is gonna work, it's gonna work right away. So for a while I did like a new niche every day. But going back, if I was gonna choose a niche, I would choose something where I could easily get on the phone with the actual like business owner so that your cold calls, because that's free. Like we can all afford cold calls in the beginning. You can actually get on the phone with the business owner and they sell something very expensive that even them selling one of them is going to pay for your 1,500 and then the 1,500 for ads. So that's the criteria I would go into, but I didn't know that at first. I was trying to sell to like dog spas and like carpet cleaning company and just random shit that I just pulled out of my eyes. And that honestly didn't work the best. So cold calls works 100%. Like I personally know people who've gotten to 10K just cold calling.
Wow.
Straight up, nothing else.
But my question with the free trial is because I'm kind of curious, like, because I've seen a lot of people talk about free work, and I can see the benefit of it. Would you offer them like the 1 week free, or would you mind the month free? Like, how did you structure that?
Yeah, so at first it's not even about a free trial. I only did 1 or 2 of those before I started doing paid trials. It's just more about you getting the confidence in your own ability to deliver. And if everyone had the confidence and actually did deliver, I would say, yeah, go straight for $1,000 a month. But that's a big number when you're trying to say that at the end of the sales call. When you start with a free trial, you're able to say like, okay, I'm going to earn this person's business. And when you're starting, that's a lot more approachable. And then you take any money you had or watch some YouTube videos or whatever, just get some kind of like guidance on how to do service delivery. You'll figure it out in probably 2 to 3 trial clients.
Mhm.
And then you just keep raising your prices from there. And that's what I did. So I already had some experience. I did $500 the first month, and then it would go to $1,500 after that. And then I did $1,000 the first month, $1,500 after that, 16, 17, 18, 2K, 2,200, and then it settled around 2K for a while as like my base price. And then now I have people all the way up to like 6K a month. But starting out, do whatever you're comfortable saying, get really good at actually helping them, at making them money. Because at this point, a lot of people can't close in SMMA because they internally know that they're not actually going to help them. Whereas with me, people can get on the phone, and even if I'm not the greatest at sales, it's like, listen, I can like share my screen and I can show the amount of millions of dollars I've made other people, and that's going to show them. But also me internally saying like, listen, like I know this is not like the sales thing I'm supposed to say right now, but I know my competitors and I know what we're going to do, and I have XYZ guarantee. And it's like, I genuinely see you being helped the best going with my team in it. And that's like an insane thing to say on the
Yeah.
demo. But me having the backing, knowing that I built like an actual really good product helps with that. And that's so easy to do when you have a free trial. It's like, listen, I'm going to put everything I have on the line to get you results, and you don't even have to pay for anything. That's a really crazy deal for you. Let's get this going. You're not even going to have to do any work. I'm going to be putting 10 hours a day into running this for you. And it just makes it really easy to start. And then you can start raising prices. And then eventually you just look at your Stripe account and there's 10K in there.
That's amazing. So did you come from money? Tell me where you started from, and how did you get from, like, how do you feel now since, like, what was it like when you first reached that 10K, when you first got that financial freedom per se? What was the first big purchase? I want to know all about that.
Yeah, for sure. So I wouldn't necessarily say I came from money. My parents definitely weren't poor though. Like I never like worried about food or like living or anything. Like I was just a kid. I was like pretty middle class. Maybe upper middle class because I was middle class in California, which is expensive. And but it was still not at all the life that I wanted. Like nobody around me like I really like cars. Like
Yeah, the McLaren and everything. Yeah.
that's like a dumb thing that I want to buy in the future, right? Nobody around me had access or really, I wasn't around that kind of stuff. And I also just saw people wanting to like spend more time with their family and more time with their friends, and they just kind of weren't able to. And then also coming up, I always had this like weird thing of like, I realized this like 3 weeks ago at like Christmas with my family. And apparently my grandma told me that I told her I was going to be rich when I was like 5. And I didn't know that. And she was like, don't do that. Cause they're like my family's like Catholic and everything. They're like, don't do that. It's greedy. Um, it's like, it's not good, whatever. And then my grandpa was like, let him do whatever. If he wants to be rich, let him be rich. And apparently I said that when I was 5. Which I don't think that has any correlation, but apparently I've wanted money for a little bit. But through like growing up, I never really found like my thing, like I was talking about, to like give me confidence. So like through high school, I had decent grades. Through middle school, it was like fine. And I would like do like little entrepreneur stuff, but I didn't really have anything that I felt like I was like super passionate about. Like I wouldn't wake up excited to like a lot of my friends were like trying to get to state in soccer or tennis or whatever sport they were playing. And they were really, excited and passionate about that. But for me, I really didn't have that as much until I got into the business space, really. And like started to just like every day, just like see like small improvements, small improvements, small improvements. And then you look back and it's just a bigger jump. Like that's kind of what Nouman was saying. It's like he like had seen some of my videos, took a break from YouTube, locked in, do what you need to do, come back, and then my number got bigger. And in between his break from YouTube, that's a shit ton of hours that were being put in just over and over and over again. And it's just really cool to just become that person. But going back to the whole, like me being from like not really doing much in high school, like starting to make money in college, Um, it was a lot slower than I thought, honestly. Like I started out within like I think 3-4 weeks. I had signed a client that ended up paying me like 1,400 a month for the next like or 1,500 a month for the next like 6 months or
Oh,
something really good at the time. But during that time, I was so lost. I didn't know what was going on. And then that was like the end of my freshman year in college, basically. And I didn't know what the like what I was going to do after that, but I had already known like, okay, after this year in university, I'm going to go into a community college so I can, spend more time on the business and things like that. And that's where I kind of first realized like, oh shit, like I left like my main school that most people would be happy to go to, and I still haven't really made any real money. Um, and I realized for the first time, like the appointments sales fulfillment thing, and I spent all my time trying to get more appointments. Um, I ended up being able to do that. I was able to get better at sales through that. And then I switched my niche, which was remodeling at the time, to roofing.
okay.
And everything finally kind of like clicked for the first time over that like summer in between university and community college. And I made my first like retainers in roofing. And then within like 3-4 months, that September, I hit 10K a month for the first time.
And that
It was
took
like,
you 12 months to get to that? Took you
I think like for 14 months, like in that range. Just because I was stubborn at first, I was like, I don't need to buy a course. They're just trying to scam me. And then I started like buying courses and like
So tell me, like,
paying
who were the
stuff.
people, like, when you said you also, like, kind of going back to you found someone and you went really into, like, just that one person, who was that one person? And then when you started buying courses, what courses did you buy?
Yeah, so the first course I ever bought was actually like when I just started. It was Montel Gordon's course at the time, if you remember who he was. It was really bad, but I got a contract template from it, so I got something. Um, and then after that, I bought Agency Lab, which I think is since out of business or something. I don't really know what it's called.
Elon got
Yeah.
there, or was that
No, that's a Joel Kaplan. If you know
Joe
who
Captain?
he
Okay.
is. Um,
I think I've seen those ads. I've seen the ad. The words sound so familiar. So I'm like, yeah, I've seen
mhm.
those ads 100%.
Yeah, and that was like a really big thing at the time, which was it was a lot for me. Like I was like all more than my money at the time when I bought it. So I put like a deposit and everything, but I like listened to, and that's where when I found out about like the appointments sales thing, and that's just all I focused on. The rest of the course like wasn't even that good, but that like little bit of just all my effort every day, focus on getting sales calls, and then once I have consistent sales calls, focus on really good at closing them, and then I'll have clients and I can just figure out service delivery, which honestly took me like I paid some guy like I'd gotten a setup fee from a client for like $500. I gave one guy in my niche $500, and then I just knew how to run ads, and
Oh, sure.
I'm like I just used that forever. Um, so it's much more simple, but that was like the biggest thing. And then after I got from like 10K, skipping ahead a little bit, um, after we kind of started momentum again, after got really good at sales, product got better, team got a little better, we got to like 30K a month. I started paying another guy 4K a month to help me build out like my team and my processes and like help me get better at making ads for my own agency and just like a bunch of little things. And I found that like making enough money to like buy the next set of instructions, like
Oh,
you don't end up paying yourself as much initially, but you end up making a lot more money because you know how to think and act like the people who make 50K a month in my case. And now I'm paying people who are making 200K a month so I can get there soon.
so it's like a constant reinvestment.
100%.
And do you actually find like systems that you find with these people, or is it the same like lock in, bro, just lock in, or how would you see that?
No, 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 no. So that's like a lot of like the course seller bullshit that I see online. Like you pay them and they're like, bro, just do the work, lock in. And then they're just like an accountability partner that it does work because you paid them. So like you feel like you need to listen to them. But really what I look for when I'm like looking for a mentor isn't someone necessarily who's like trying to push a course or a community. Even if they do have one, it's not a bad thing, but they have to actively be doing what they're saying. So like the guy I was paying for a while, that 4K a month, he has a course now. He didn't at the time. But he was running a marketing agency with really, really good systems and employees, and that's what I wanted. And he was doing around 130, 150K a month.
Do you want to drop a name or no?
Qualified. Nathan Bentley.
Nathan.
His courses Steal My Agency. I'm a coach in there. It's really good product. But I was paying him one-on-one to like ask him questions whenever we want, jump on calls whenever we want. And that was really helpful. Since then, his one-on-one price is much more than 4K a month. So I'm glad I got in early. But, and then now I'm on to like, I kind of got what I needed to from Nathan, and I'm on to like, the next set of instructions. But after I realized that, it's like, I don't need to think or like get like learn things myself. It's just like paying to learn them from other people.
Mm-hmm.
Like growing just got way faster. It was crazy.
I like that you mentioned growing, because when I speak to a lot of like business owners, a lot of times, sometimes what they do is, instead of being a business owner, they become a glorified employee where you're working the entire day and you're just doing everything possible from marketing, sales, and everything. And in the beginning, I get that's what you're supposed to do. But when did you start actually think like, you know what, I should hire someone? Who was the first person you hired? And then doing that, like say 10K a month, what was like that revenue split? Like how much did you pay in costs? How much was your like a profit and things like that?
Yeah, for sure. So first time I hired someone, or I had like a minority partner through like this whole thing. So he was doing some of like calling client leads initially to book appointments. First person we hired was somebody to book appointments for our clients. So they would call our clients leads, and then now we have like 3 of those people. But at the time of 10K, it was just me and my partner, and our profit when we made 13K was like 11K of it. So it was like mostly profit. And that money went to, I got to get a new laptop. I didn't have a car because I sold it to buy the course. I bought another car. It was like a shit car. It ended up breaking in like 6 months, but it got me to the gym for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what that was at 10K. And then when I started to really scale, it was at 30K a month, because I went from, it was like around 10, 11, 12, and then 8. And then I finally like figured out sales like for the first time and appointments at the same time. And I went from 8K to 35K the next month, which is like a crazy jump.
Purely on sales, like closing the
Yeah, just like being able to like close at a higher rate. Before that, I was closing at like 10, 15%. And I didn't have as many calls, but then I figured out how to get more calls and close at like, I think like 35 or 40%. So I 3x'd my results per number of appointments, and then I also got more appointments. So I went from like 8K, which is only like, I think 5, 6 clients at the time, to 30K, which was, it was just a lot to deal with. So at that point, we hired a media buyer that we trained to run ads.
So what is a media buyer? I've seen that word thrown out a lot.
Yeah. So a media buyer is somebody who runs ads on any given platform.
Okay.
So for us, they do Facebook ads for our clients, and I don't know why it's called a media buyer, honestly.
And do we make the ad stuff, or is it like
It depends on like the level that they are. For us, we still make a lot of the ads. We give them the ads, and then they just do the targeting. They put the ads in, because once you have a certain amount of clients, you just like, okay, this person's doing good. They're in a similar market. Let's throw the same thing at it. And it just works. But then as you train them, they get better at making their own ads, making their own, they call it copy, like the words.
Yeah.
Ads. They're good at that too. But it really, really depends. One thing though, while we're on the topic of it, Iman says this thing called like contractor arbitrage or something like that. And it's really not a good idea, because it's essentially saying to hire people when you're a very beginner. So for example, you just sell a client for 2K a month and you have no idea how to run ads. The idea is you go pay someone to run ads for them. But the problem is you've never run ads before. So you don't know the questions to ask them to see if they're a good employee. You've probably never had an employee before. You might not even have enough money to pay them for an extended amount of time, and then they leave whatever they're doing to work for you. So while it is technically like a shortcut, it doesn't tend to work as much as people think.
No, I get that. So speak on like lessons learned. Like what has been the biggest lessons you've learned, some challenges you faced, failures in the entire process from 0 to 50? Tell me all about it.
Um, there's a lot. One, I think the biggest thing that would help past Levi now is that I'm not harder working now, even though I work a lot more. I'm not better at anything. I just got better at removing distractions from my life and changing the people I compare myself to people who are ahead of me. So, for example, right now, I'm in an Airbnb. I've just been living in Airbnbs, honestly, for the past like
Really?
4 or 5 months.
Have you been like just going around houses or like in like areas or locations? Have you just been living in different areas or?
Yeah, so for a while I was in San Diego for like 2 months. I went home for the holidays. I was in Mexico for a little bit. I had trips to like Miami, Orlando for like a conference I did there. And now I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona for a little bit. But even here, where I'm in like the living room of our place right now, and we don't have any unhealthy food in here. We like unhealthy food, like Cane's is the shit. Like I love it. But it's not in the house. The TV's never been turned on. We barely ever use the couch. We're either here working. I'm in my room working. My roommate's outside working right now. He has an agency too. And then if we're not doing that, we have like things that are like helping us in other ways. So like we're going to play basketball, we're going on a run, we're doing whatever we need to do. And it's just not really an environment where me like sitting on my bed doom scrolling is like an acceptable thing anymore. Because when I was just alone in my room and there's so many like at my parents' house, there's like always like different like snacks and like they're always watching TV and they're like really normal things. But that was like too much stimulation for me. But after I stopped going on Instagram, YouTube, doing all these things that I actually really used to love to do, I'm able to work a lot more. Not because I work harder, but just because like there's less temptation to do things that are gonna not even take away from me making less money, but like I said at the beginning, take away from me being the person that I'm trying to become. Which I think is by far the biggest lesson.
That's been really well said. What would you say your biggest message is when people come out and they hear like the I made 10K a month and you can do it too, or the 20K a month, 30K a month, and you're automatically like filtered into the system of oh, just another course seller, all this BS, he's a scammer, all that shit. How do you deal with that?
Um, I don't know because it's really weird. After being in the space and actually making the money I make, a lot of people are faking it, which is weird. So people are right to think that, but also the people who stay thinking that always stay poor for longer. So like I was like, oh, and like I naturally think better of people than maybe they are. Like I'm more hopeful. And so I was like, oh no, like even when I would see like rich kids when I was like in high school or college, it's like, oh, they probably have like some kind of side hustle or whatever, even if it's just like their parents giving them money. Um, and what I found is just by like blindly by being able to like filter through people who have actually made the money, everyone has something I can learn from, even if they're lying about their end result or not. And I've been able to take the nuggets and get better at filtering through the BS to actually find the people that are helping me to scale. And also, I just don't really get told that I'm a course seller because like I do have a paid community, but I've never promoted it. It has like um it has like I don't know like 20 members in it paying like $100 a month or like it's not like an amount of money that affects me in any way, and they get insane results. So I've never really been called a scammer or anything. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
And kind of touching on the back to like making that money, what was your first biggest purchase? What was like the big purchase? What was like that moment you realized like, yo, like I can tap my card and I don't want to worry about it anymore. Like tell me about that.
I think for me, I did let me see. I was at a dinner for that course I was talking about that I'm a coach in,
Hmm.
and I took some of the guys there to go eat. And it was like a nicer restaurant because like that's where I wanted to go at the time. And like there were like 6 or 7 of us eating and we ordered whatever we wanted to. And then at the end, the bill came and I saw like everyone else like kind of freaking out because they were like in the course, they were newer to the agency space. They weren't like as successful as they are now. And I was like, oh, like, don't worry about it. And I just paid it. And I didn't really look at it. And then like a few days later, I was like, oh, like how much was dinner? So I have to go check. And it was like $500 or $600 for like a dinner. And it just wasn't a problem. And I was like, damn,
That's amazing.
like, that's cool. And that was like on a weekend trip to Miami where like I had like me and my friends all had our own yachts. Like,
Oh shit.
it's like a cool thing. Um, but that was probably like one of the first times where I was like, damn, I'm up, you know?
Like that off is crazy. And then from there, do you plan on getting like your over cars wise? You said you're a big car guy, so tell me about that.
Um, yeah. Timeline, I'm trying not to stick to timelines with anything because when you like start to look at like financing of stuff and you can really buy, like I could buy whatever I want right now. Um, like I could get a Huracan, like a Lambo, and I could make the payments and stuff. Um, and it's fine because I have recurring and like technically I can buy it. But it's not necessarily anymore about like if I can buy something anymore. It's like, did I deserve it? Did I earn it? But like back to like the actual car shit, like you were saying, um, I need a McLaren. Like it's I need it to happen. Um, I'm waiting. I'm being patient until the right time. But it'll happen relatively soon. The biggest thing for me right now is one, I want to be at like a little bit of a better position, um, just with like my team and everything before I do something like that. And also I don't have a house. Like I just
Oh
live in
yeah,
Phoenix.
makes
So like
yeah.
I would just be like, okay, I'm going from San Diego to Scottsdale. Okay, it's time to like put a ton of miles on the car, drive it there, and then maybe have a garage, maybe not have a garage because you don't really know when you're booking Airbnbs. Then after this, we're probably gonna go to like Montana or like somewhere on the East Coast.
Is there a reason why you're going everywhere, or is it just like you want to travel and like?
Um, I was talking to my boy Jack from Roommate Smith at before we were doing this, and he was like, "It'd be cool if we did that for like a year." So we just did it. Like there was
Oh,
there
dope.
wasn't like much thought behind it. It's like when we have money, we'll just go Airbnb hopping for a little bit in some of the better cities in the U.S. So
That's it.
that's what we're doing right now.
And then lastly, what does 2025 and the next couple of years have in store for you? Tell me your goals, both like maybe your physical health as well as the agency and who you are and what you want to get.
Yeah, for sure. So 2025 for me is just about focus more than anything else, like the whole year. That's why I'm doing this. And I've taken it to like a really extreme level. Just telling my friends, my family, like, hey, I'm going to be working a lot and I'm not going to be at home. I'll see you at like major holidays and stuff. But aside from that, I'm really trying to just like hone in on the person I'm really trying to be, like I said. Fitness wise, I'm not trying to become jacked or anything at the moment. I'm
You're not trying to bubble? Come on, G.
on other stuff. I am eating more than I have been because I know I don't eat enough. Um, and I'm doing things that are helping. So like I'm doing active stuff, um, like 4 or 5 days a week. I'm doing I'm like it. I do that stuff, but it's not like my core focus because I found I can only really do like one main thing at a time. And then money wise, it's just like being better at focusing, and that will result in whatever amount of money I want at the end of the year. But that's kind of my goal for the year is just focus, become a better person, and I'll get more reward out of that from what I've seen so far.
And what do you want to be remembered by?
Um, I want to be remembered as somebody who gave people really cool gifts and helped people a lot. I don't know why. I've always like liked doing that. When I was a kid, I always watched YouTube videos of like people who were like my age and making a lot of money, like buy cool stuff for like their siblings and their family and stuff. And I thought it was because like, oh, I want the stuff that they were giving them. That's what I thought I liked at the time. But now realizing like this past Christmas, I was able to give people really, really cool things. Um, and it was really nice. Not even just stuff. Like I like being able to like help people like grow in their business. Like if they're actually trying, being able to just give them a few tips and just seeing like the amount of money that like my advice like can make people has been like the most rewarding thing. So just like being able to help the most amount of people do what I did for myself, and just like be able to like give more. I think that's what I want to be remembered by.
I think that's amazing. I think a beautiful way to like even talk about your journey, which I really respect about you, is that you start off like as this kid who was like really into like all these like lavish things. I want this. I want the cars. I want the money. All these things. But as you progress, you're like, you know what? No, I don't want that. I want to be remembered for something more than that. I think that's really beautiful. And we're still gonna buy the stuff. Don't get me wrong. Or still good. It's not the main motivation. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
kind of just like matured in the aspect of being like, yo, like I look back, it's like I don't want that. I want what comes with it. And I think that's a really good way to put it. So good stuff, man. Yeah. That being said, that concludes the podcast. Thank you guys for listening, watching, subscribing. Levi, where can we find you?
Yeah. At Wi-Fi Levi anywhere. Main thing is Instagram and YouTube. Probably not going to be uploading too much this year because I'm just focused on working. But I have a Discord if you want to talk to me. That's where I am. So go to my Instagram, DM me the word Discord. It'll send you a link, and then you can join there and we can talk. That's free.
Perfect. That's the episode, guys. Just guys.